I took care of paralyzed Julia for 2 years. Everybody thought the first thing she'd do once she stood up was marry me. On the night her surgery was successful, I asked her, "Do you still want to marry me?" She hesitated and didn't give me that simple answer I was hoping for. I chuckled, "I get it." I took off the ring and left that place I'd called home for 2 years without a second thought. "Do you still want to marry me?" When Julia heard those words, she froze a bit. She looked at her legs for a long time without saying anything. The noise from outside drifted in through the door that wasn't fully shut. The doctor had said Julia's surgery was successful, and she'd be back to normal in less than 2 weeks. I didn't think my sister could recover. 2 years ago, she had almost given up on herself. Thanks to my brother-in-law's unwavering support, they're definitely getting married. Better start getting the wedding gift ready. Julia heard these cheers and didn't say a word. An awkward tension filled the air. Finally, I stood up and began massaging her knees and calves like always. Trying to ease the tension, I asked, "Does this pressure work for you?" That at least broke the awkward atmosphere. Her tense body relaxed gradually. Like every day for the past 2 years, I softly asked, "Does it hurt anywhere?" She shook her head and sincerely answered, "No, you do it better than the caregivers." I looked at my hands massaging her legs and was lost in thought. At first, I didn't know how to massage. She couldn't stand caregivers touching her. Whenever one showed up, she lost her temper and chased them away. But massage was necessary for her legs. So I learned from a massage therapist for 3 months. I practiced on myself before I carefully started on her legs. The first time, I only dared to massage when she was asleep. She was a light sleeper and she caught me. She snapped, "Get out." I didn't leave. I just followed the therapist's guidance. She hurled a pillow at me, then everything else she could reach. She finally threw a framed photo of her holding a trophy in college, looking so full of life. When warm blood trickled down my forehead, she tried to get to me, struggling, but her legs just couldn't move. She suddenly broke down in tears. "Just go, leave me. It's useless. I can't feel anything. Massaging won't help." She was giving up on herself. Every day, rain or shine, I went to her place to massage her, until her mom found her taking sleeping pills and rushed her to the hospital. Her mom didn't know what to do. I knelt before her and said, "Look at me." She did, and I said, "Everything will be fine. Trust me." How I had the confidence, I don't know. From then on, I moved into her place. Julia's mom thanked me endlessly, crying the whole time. She hesitated to ask what was on her mind, so I said, "As long as Julia doesn't push me away, I'll stay." But truthfully, even when she did, I stayed put. Once, after another ineffective massage, she shouted, "Get out, all of you." She was already in a wheelchair, making a mess of her room. But at least, she stopped throwing things directly at me. After her outburst, I went and whispered, "Julia, trust me." I said that every day for 2 years. Gradually, she regained sensation in her legs and could do some simple motions. Finally, her surgery took place yesterday, and the doctor was amazed, saying it was a huge success. She might actually stand up again. Julia's mom handed me a bank card. I was blurry-eyed staring at it. I didn't do it for a bank card. Her friends all called me brother-in-law, but I knew better. I wasn't her brother-in-law at all. We hadn't even confessed love or defined the relationship. Luckily for me, I had Julia's words. "Dave, the moment my legs are better, let's get married." That was during her first treatment when the doctor hinted there wasn't much hope. I was wheeling her home. Once inside, she freaked out. This fall from grace for someone once revered was more than anyone could take. I held her tightly as she bit into my shoulder. It was deep and savage. Her bite mark is still there. When she noticed the blood, she panicked and apologized over and over. After saying sorry, I did my usual massage routine on her calves. That's when she told me that. "Oh, and Dave, do you have a crush on me?" I didn't deny it and said yes. She looked at me for a long time before saying she'd marry me. But my actions weren't for some trade-off. I just wanted her to feel the same way as I did. I prayed she'd fall for me someday too. Like always, I got up, rubbed some medicine oil into my palms, warming it before touching her legs. I knew she was watching me. After a while, she spoke overhead, "Dave, you don't have to do these things anymore." My hands paused, but I finished the massage. I couldn't give up and asked again, "Julia, do you want to marry me?" She hesitated and stayed silent. I could only laugh at my own foolishness. But the ring on my finger was something she personally put on me. How could I not be a hopeless dreamer when I've had a crush on her for so long? I washed the oil off my hands and felt the ring on my finger hurt my heart. From outside, I heard her say, "Dave, you're like a brother to me." Tears fell into the water, and I quickly wiped them away. Don't say that. It's too cruel for me. When I stepped out of the bathroom, the living room was still buzzing. I bowed my head, meeting Julia's gaze, and struggled to take off the ring. It didn't fit, a size too small. Don't know if she was careless, or it wasn't meant for me to begin with. I forced it on, and it hurt my finger. Before, I could convince myself that all rings were like that. But now, taking it off was a relief. I wished I'd done it earlier. Julia's eyes darted away. I handed the ring to her. "Here, it's yours." I could see the mark on my finger so clearly, so I added, "It's gotten a bit smaller." She opened her mouth as if to say something, but I just waved her off and pushed her out the door. As soon as we stepped out, friends in the living room crowded around us. "What are you two newlyweds whispering about that we can't hear?" "Don't worry, we're not going to tease you today. We'll save that for the wedding. We'll hang out a bit more and then head out." Julia's friends, just like her, were polite and considerate. Considering she just had surgery, everyone brought juice and light snacks. Someone asked her, "Julia, once you're all better, let's hit the slopes at Mount Titley's again." Julia agreed out of habit, not letting skiing get to her anymore. Her friend turned to me and said, "Come on, new brother-in-law, you should come too. Julia can book your ticket. You'll love it." Julia looked up at me, throwing the ball in my court. I'd already been turned down twice, so I couldn't just keep losing face. "You guys go ahead," I said. But Julia suddenly spoke up, "It's no big deal if you come. I basically think of you as a brother anyway." With that, everyone went silent. Her friend playfully tapped Julia's head and joked, "Julia, what kind of joke is that?" More friends jumped in with laughter to smooth over the moment, saying her legs just healed, so her head's a little off. Don't take her seriously, brother-in-law. The mood was passed over in playful banter, but Julia kept quiet from start to finish. I thought back to when a friend noticed the ring on my finger and asked, "Dave, are you sure? They're from a different world than us. If she gets better, would she really marry you?" Back then, I couldn't answer, and even now, I still can't. Now I know Julia's given me an answer. No. The party was harmonious. Soft music played while everyone chatted about old times. I looked down and searched Titley's online. Not so famous, but a well-known local ski resort. I couldn't understand a word they were saying, but it hit me why my friend had pointed out we're from different worlds. I got up and immediately felt Julia's gaze on me. Back in what I called my bedroom, though everything was picked out by Julia's mom, I dialed up the woman who thanked me with tears 2 years ago. Rubbing my fingers, I asked, "Auntie, about that bank card?" Before I could finish, she eagerly replied, "It's got 6 zeros. Take it? Thank you for taking care of Julia these past 2 years." I mumbled a heavy aha. No need to pack. I tossed my few pieces of clothing into the trash and left with that card. Passing through the living room, Julia's friends asked, "Where are you going this late? Bro-in-law?" I didn't want to put Julia in a spot, so I grinned. "I'm hungry," stepping out for a bite. They insisted on ordering takeout, but I refused. Takeout for you guys would cost $100. Not worth it. Julia's eyes fixed on me as if realizing something. I waved to everyone, "See ya." At 1 a.m., with a bank card in hand, I left the place I'd stayed in for 2 years. Guess it wasn't a total loss. Found myself a place. No need to constantly watch over Julia or fear her mental breakdowns. My body relaxed all at once, and I couldn't get used to it. I couldn't sleep. So, I just stood on the balcony with a cup of water, gazing at the sparse stars. In the silence, I finally heard my own voice. I thought I'd be sad or hurt, but no, I just traced the red mark left by the ring on my finger, wondering when it might fade. That night was just a bit chilly, and the stars seemed a bit bright. Julia called the next morning at dawn, but when I picked up, there was only silence on her end. Eventually, I asked, "What is it?" Then she hesitantly said, "Dave, I was thinking of having some custard buns in the morning." After she became paralyzed, she refused to eat. I tried all sorts of foods, but she wouldn't open her mouth. In the end, my tears hit the floor as I begged, "Please, just one bite. You need to eat." Maybe she got fed up with my crying, but she finally took a bite of the custard bun, frowning all the while. She didn't like the ones from outside, so I learned to make them. But I remember every bit of her silence yesterday. Calmly, I told her, "Julia, I've left." She was silent for a while, too, and I couldn't think of anything to say either, so I just hung up. An astonishing amount of money was left in the bank card. I counted the zeros over and over, stunned each time. Once I safely stored the card, it dawned on me what my friend meant. "You're from different worlds." It's true. My parents were just regular folks. They knew I was taking care of a paralyzed girlfriend and even came to see me. Back then, Julia's mom welcomed them grandly, leaving them at a loss for words. They told me it seemed tough after we went home, but didn't stop me. "Go ahead, give it a shot. Worst case, come back home," they'd say. It's only 2 years later I see what Julia's mom tried to convey. Those lavish dishes surprised even Julia, let alone my two ordinary parents from a small town. Julia's mom's warmth was really to make it clear to my parents, we're from different worlds. Using that card, I got myself a new place, not even 1 zero short. Busy with renovations and other stuff, I bumped into Julia just 2 weeks later at the local coffee shop. She was being pushed by her friends who egged her on. "Julia, if you don't win Dave back, we've lost respect for you. Apologize to your bro-in-law, there's no one else." Julia hadn't been out for 2 years. Her skin was pale. The sunlight made her face look almost transparent. Hearing her friend's playful insistence, she forced a smile. "If Dave shows up right here now, maybe." Ironically, I was at the table behind them. Hearing her words, I instinctively moved to the side. But the next second, one of my friends came out of the coffee shop, calling my name excitedly. "Dave, they have your favorite cake today." Julia's table went quiet. I watched them realize it was me as my friend brought the cake over, noticing my suddenly changed expression. "What's wrong?" she asked in confusion. She got nervous instinctively because of the expression on my face. Then I realized it was them making a fuss, and questioned why I should let them affect my mood. I changed my expression and said, "It's okay. Sit down. You still remember I love this cake, huh?" That one sentence opened up the conversation. Sitting too close, I couldn't avoid hearing Julia's table. "It was meant to be, Julia, you should apologize. Such a good husband. I don't believe you'll find a second one like him. I'm telling you, if you don't clear this up, we can't be friends anymore." I recognized every voice. They had come to see Julia one by one when she was bedridden. One of the guys had a crush on Julia. When he went in to visit her, Julia deliberately spilled water on his pants. In the hot weather, his thin pants quickly showed his skin after getting wet. The guy stood there awkwardly, and I handed him a jacket. Julia looked at him coolly and said, "Do you still like me like this?" His eyes reddened, and I gently closed the door. When he came out, he held his head high and told me, "I won't like Julia anymore. She's not worth it." Then he left, dragging his wet clothes, only to return halfway. He watched me clean the floor his wet pants had dripped on and awkwardly said, "But you're nice." "Thank you. You shouldn't like Julia either. She's not good enough for you." Then he quickly ran away. We later became friends and exchanged gifts during holidays. The people around Julia aren't bad. I was lost in thought, listening to my friend's words. It was only when Julia's voice came that I realized she was standing beside me. She called my name, "Dave." I looked up instinctively, her eyebrows furrowed. Upon seeing me, it seemed she couldn't voice what she had wanted to say. Her friends behind her were teasing, "Julia, apologize and get your man back." Julia frowned even more at their words. But now I didn't need her apology. Relationships are mutual. Besides, didn't I already take the bank card? I still haven't counted all the zeros. You can't have it both ways. Julia stood in front of me, looking a bit lost. I spoke as I watched her struggle. I don't need you to apologize. She breathed a sigh of relief at that, but halfway turned back to ask, when will you come back? Maybe I hadn't been clear last time, so I explained more directly this time. I'm not going back. Julia thought deeply for a moment and finally replied with a quiet She turned back to her table, while her familiar friends watched eagerly. So, did you get him back? Someone asked. When are you getting married? We're not, Julia replied flatly, a bit impatient. Suddenly, the table went silent, and Julia repeated herself, raising her voice naturally. Why would you think I'd marry him? Just because I'm grateful I have to marry him? I said, I see him as a brother. For the third time, people should know where to draw the line. I simply stood up and told her friends, you're mistaken about the wedding. I was just taking money to care for Julia. Julia looked up, staring heavily at me, and I met her gaze openly. I said, watching her tightly furrowed brow, don't treat me as a brother. A stranger is fine. During the time I cared for Julia, I'd often wonder if Will hadn't had the accident. Would he have fallen for Clark? At first I thought yes, then no. Back and forth I couldn't decide. Eventually the question went unanswered. I don't know their answers, but I know the answer between Julia and me. Julia started a relationship quite openly. She announced it on social media, proudly introducing him to friends. It was hard not to notice. I bumped into Julia and her boyfriend at a party. With so many mutual friends, no one expected us to meet. When Julia walked in with her boyfriend, a friend squeezed my hand, remembering how I had cared for Julia those 2 years. I reassured her with a smile before casually observing Julia's boyfriend. Nothing special. 2 eyes, 1 mouth. Julia noticed me and casually chose a corner to sit by the door. Just as they sat, she asked the server for a fruit plate. When it arrived, she placed it before the guy, who beamed from ear to ear, leaning in to whisper to her. He happily shared with her while she lazily watched the fruit platter, not even bothering to look at him. Others could tell she wasn't really into it. If that's how she dates, it's actually quite dull. I wasn't bothered by it, but my friend was. She drank too much and insisted on introducing me to someone new. I patiently explained that she was drunk. As I helped her out, Julia's boyfriend and I made eye contact. I know you, he said. I paused mid-step as he continued. Thank you for taking care of Julia. I nodded and prepared to escort my friend out. Not noticing the sudden shift in the atmosphere, he rushed to stand before me. But if I had been with Julia then, I could have done it too. The tantrums and thrown cups and sleepless nights. He said he could do it too? I chuckled lightly. Everyone can talk big, but that's a hollow if. But you never know. If Julia's leg got bad again, he could try taking care of her. Julia already looked upset. A friend stepped in to ease things. I joked to lighten the mood. If that happens, maybe just hire a nurse. That remark still irked Julia. She slammed a glass onto the table, and I glanced over. She impatiently said, why bring up the past? It's boring. But if it's in the past, why can't we talk about it? She doesn't want it brought up because she considers it humiliating. The next day, when my friend sobered up and heard what happened, she couldn't stop ranting. What does he mean? Rubbing it in your face? She can show off all she wants. I counted the zeros in my bank account balance, and surprisingly, I wasn't mad. That's when I realized how powerful money can be. But my friend thought I was just putting on a brave face and brought it up again. Julia's in a relationship. Do you want me to help you find a boyfriend? With your qualities, finding one is really easy. These days, quick relationships are the norm, but I still want to take it slow. I want to meet someone and gradually get to know them, building a relationship based on mutual sincerity. So I politely declined, no thank you. My friend, convinced by my refusal, insisted I was still holding a torch for Julia, and vented about her. I chimed in with a couple of remarks, laughing along. Time passed, and even though there were plenty who showed interest, they'd back away as soon as I suggested we take things slowly. Within weeks, I'd see news about them being in new relationships. My friends teased me, saying I'm good at matchmaking. I laughed too because I'm really not in a rush. When I was with Julia, I was all in, and now I want to focus on myself first. I want to open my heart before letting someone else in. I believe those I'll welcome in the future will be genuine. Like me. I'm still hopeful for a sincere connection. Julia broke up and less than a week later, announced a new relationship publicly. Friends finally started accepting that Julia and I weren't going to happen. I picked up scuba diving and found joy in exploring new underwater spots every day. Though I wasn't in the city for 6 months, news about Julia somehow found its way to me. She broke up again and seemed to have taken a pause. Julia's friends would jokingly hint she's single now, urging me to come back. With the new year around the corner, I had to go home. I didn't expect everyone to be waiting when I got off the plane. Julia's friends teased, "Dave, you got a tan." They didn't distance themselves from me just because Julia and I weren't together. One friend sent a special message when I cleared things with Julia. "Dave, even without Julia, I still want to be friends with you." But unexpectedly, Julia showed up too. She stood there, seemingly dazed. Eventually, she walked over and said, "Long time no see." 6 months ago, she seemed a bit annoyed with me, yet now it felt like talking to an old friend. I politely replied, "Long time no see." She hesitated before speaking, "My leg," but got interrupted by my ringtone. I sheepishly smiled and answered the call. As soon as I picked up, a bright young voice asked, "Where are you?" Her energy got to me and I replied, "I'll send you my location. Don't rush. Take your time getting here." After hanging up, friends started planning dinner, but I asked, "Mind if I bring someone?" They were curious, "Who are you bringing?" In walked a girl in a bright orange dress. Despite telling her to slow down, she ran straight to my side. She held my hand and adorably said, "I missed you so much." She moved so fast that my friends were caught off guard. I attempted to take her suitcase, but she refused. Then I introduced her to the group. "This is Tina, my girlfriend." Sometimes fate is odd like that. Just when you least expect it, it happens. Tina confessed and I suggested taking things slow. I thought she'd back out in 2 weeks, but she lasted much longer than I imagined. Before I knew it, she was a constant presence in my life. I'm not that young anymore. When I mention taking things slow, people assume I'm just stringing them along. But with the younger ones, they genuinely take things slow. Honest and passionate. You've been keeping it under wraps. If not for your return, we might not have met her. Dinner's on you. It's not like I was hiding it. I just didn't expect her to come back with me. I mentioned running late due to traffic and missing my flight. While rescheduling, she messaged, "Where are you? I hate you." That's when I realized she got the seat next to me to surprise me. But things just happened that way. She landed and waited at the airport and we just met up. Friends continued to tease, and I playfully declared, "It's on me, it's on me." Tina echoed my gesture, mimicking my tone. "It's on me, it's on me." She adapted quickly and became friendly with everyone. The seating arrangement was perfect, even with Tina. Then someone noticed Julia wasn't there. A call revealed she was feeling unwell and at the hospital. They couldn't just eat with her situation in mind. "So sudden? Is everything okay?" "What did the doctor say?" "No big deal, the doctor just said to get some rest." "Go ahead and eat. I'll treat next time." Even with Julia's reassurances, her past incident was grave, and her family background complicated things. Seeing friends' concerned looks, I offered a way out. "Go check on Julia. We can eat anytime." Tina and I were tired, so we were happy to head home and rest. Despite the unexpected change of plans, I wasn't upset. I cheered up and saw the guests off, walking home with Tina. On the way, she animatedly commented on the flowers and plants along the way. She always had something to say, whether about a dog or anything else. At home, I was surprised to see Julia standing there. Tina paused, seeing Julia step forward first. Addressing her, "You must be Julia?" Her friendly tone made me glance at her. Julia smiled back but said nothing. She looked at me, Dave. Focusing her gaze on me, she repeated, "Long time no see." Tina, unfazed by being ignored, stayed quietly holding my hand. Julia seemed about to say more, but I stepped up, introducing Tina. "This is my girlfriend, Tina." Julia's faint smile faded as she responded softly, Okay. Julia continued, my leg's been acting up. Tina responded with concern, if your leg's really bad, you should head to the hospital. She patiently asked, need me to call an ambulance for you? After taking out her phone, she seriously added, after all, my boyfriend isn't a doctor. Julia ignored her and called out to me again. Dave. Tina, not willing to be ignored, looked directly at me and asked, why is she ignoring me? I had no clue why Julia was ignoring her. Julia called out to me again, Dave. Tina wouldn't let it go, got in my face and asked, why? I nudged her head away and said, I don't know. She leaned in again. I never could resist her persistence. Instinctively, I took out my keys to open the door and suddenly realized Julia was still there. Tina bluntly pointed out, you forgot Julia's still at the door. Julia's composure almost slipped when my gaze met hers. She finally spoke. Can we talk? Tina shook my hand and asked, what do you need to say to her? Only then did it strike me that Tina was acting unusually suspicious from the start. I slowly said, I've got nothing to say to her. I closed the door after speaking, and Tina hugged me as soon as we were inside, saying, I'm jealous. I patted her head. What are you jealous about? When we started dating, I told her everything, no secrets. She knew about Julia and me, so what was she worried about? She jokingly said, I hate that you're a blockhead. I wasn't sure how to respond, but before I could, she cheered up, saying, being a blockhead's good. She whispered softly, you don't see when others are being nice. But that night, Julia called. She said, Dave, did you know your girlfriend had a 4-year-long first love? Julia was indeed hospitalized. The situation was unclear, but ex-boyfriends were lining up to take care of her in the hospital. Friends even placed bets on how long they would last. 2 days was the outcome, with most leaving within hours. My friends said she deserved it, repeatedly warning me not to feel sorry for her. I wouldn't, of course. Since taking that card, I never planned to look back. Julia's mom messaged me late one night. Dave, can you meet Julia alone? She sent the message while Tina was right by my side. I declined seriously, sorry, my girlfriend wouldn't be comfortable with that. She called, begging, I'm begging you, I'll pay you. Just let her eat, that's all I'm asking. Why was this happening to Julia? Her voice was incoherent, desperate. From her words, I gathered Julia's hospitalization wasn't a minor issue. Her mom cried, why is this happening to us? Please help, she can't go on without eating. Tina, being considerate, said, seeing her is no big deal. Don't worry about me. But it wasn't worth it. Meeting once would lead to countless excuses to meet again. I firmly told the sobbing woman, sorry, I don't owe you anything. I have my life and Julia has hers. The next day, through friends, I learned Julia's legs had issues. A rare event, the doctor said. She stood, and her muscles atrophied, putting her back at square one. During that time, I supported her, and she still struggled. Not to mention, having experienced standing again, now told she might be paralyzed. I didn't respond to the message, but Julia called soon after. I thought she wanted to ask about massage techniques or oils. But no, she said, Dave, do you think you and your girlfriend will last? I didn't respond. She continued, want to bet? Bet on your girlfriend's loyalty. I didn't know how to bet on loyalty, but I knew once trust is questioned, it crumbles. I wouldn't play such childish games. However, she didn't care about my refusal. She left with, just wait and see, all women are the same. I brushed it off like a side note. In the following days, with the year ending, work was non-stop. Tina wanted to explore the city with me, tried scheduling meetups multiple times. I just couldn't make time. She was visibly disappointed but eventually understood I was truly busy and started exploring on her own. She's always been social, so I wasn't worried about her making friends. Sure enough, within 2 days, she was out happily socializing again. She began leaving early before I got up, sometimes meeting her on my way out, other times finding notes in the living room when I woke up later. As the notes increased, unease slowly crept in. What was she up to? Who was she meeting? I recalled her concern when I was away for a week, wondering what I was doing. Finally understanding her feelings, I wanted to talk seriously with her. But before finding the right time, Julia sent a picture from a new number. Tina was laughing with a guy at a cafe. Instantly anxious, she mentioned meeting friends in the morning. Julia messaged, "See, all women are the same." I wondered what she wanted from this. She sent more photos repeatedly. She added smugly, "Guess if she'll come home tonight?" I blocked her completely. Sitting at home, I hesitantly asked Tina what she was up to. Her quick reply, "Having dinner with friends." In the end, I didn't ask, "When are you coming home?" Around 10 p.m. So I waited until 10 p.m. Minutes ticked by, and I sat anxiously on the couch. At 11, Tina still hadn't returned, not even a message. Julia called from another number. So aren't women just like I said? Still unsure of her intentions. Even if Tina betrayed me, what's next? If she did, we'd break up, move on to the next. It's that simple. I'd never lose courage to try again just because of hurt. The guy who once liked Julia told me she wasn't good enough for me. My first reaction was doubt. She's kind, with so many great qualities. How could she not be good enough for me? Now, looking back on the 2 years I cared for her, I see her bad temper and self-destruction. Even with the best medical equipment, she wouldn't try. Now she wants to drag me down with her. She really isn't good enough for me. I waited at home until 1 a.m. Tina still hadn't come back. But why was I waiting? Why believe Julia instead of asking for myself? Why let her interfere in our relationship? I put on my coat and opened the door. When I got downstairs, I bumped into Tina in our apartment complex. She was getting out of a car with a guy from the photo. Seeing me, she looked a bit flustered and said, "Dave, I'm late coming back." The guy in the car saw me too, waved, and as the car was about to leave, I stopped it. The driver shouted about the danger, and I knocked on the window. The guy showed his handsome face, asking what was wrong. I asked him, "Are you Tina's first love?" He seemed nervous and explained, "You're Tina's boyfriend, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm just here for work." I interrupted, "Yes or no?" Tina, realizing I was mad, came over frantically explaining about traffic. But she said 10 p.m., and it was now 1 a.m. How could traffic last that long? Again, I asked yes or no. Turns out yes. During our relationship, Tina never mentioned him. Some might not mind, but I do. Right there, I broke up with her. The guy got out, trying to persuade me, following closely with explanation after explanation. "I didn't mean to interrupt you two. We just ran into each other. Julia was nearby too, so we had dinner together. We didn't do anything. You can check the cameras." The more he said, the less I cared, until finally, Tina told him to shut up. He stood there not knowing what to do. She told him to leave and then caught up with me, blocking my way home. "We need to talk." I looked up at her and said, "We don't." When we started dating, I said we had to be honest. I had told her everything, while she hid this first love and their dinner. I'm not oblivious. I only chose to act that way for her. I didn't want to chat with others or engage with outside jokes. I ignored anyone's advances, staying aloof. So let's end it. The relationship began fast and ended fast. Friends invited me to hang out with Tina, but I casually said we'd broken up. They were surprised and wanted to introduce me to someone new. I still refused. I'm holding out for someone sincere, and if I don't find that, I'd rather be alone. Julia's mom still called, asking me to visit Julia. I didn't agree, just sent her recipes and prescriptions, booked a flight back home. This time I didn't miss the flight. Sitting in my seat, Tina was beside me. She smiled and said, "Didn't miss it this time." But she didn't bother to understand why I was upset, just kept wanting to reconcile. "I was wrong, let's make up." "Forgive me." She repeated it. Back then, I'd analyze every punctuation mark, but now she won't properly explain. Plus, I repeatedly refused Julia's mom's simple request to meet. I couldn't see why it was necessary for Tina to meet her first love. "We won't get back together, it's over." After we landed, as I booked a cab and looked back, she was gone. A genuine, passionate girl with an uncertain heart. But that's okay. At least I experienced her passion. I'll eagerly welcome my next relationship.